All right, let's dive right into this explainer. For generations, American schools have taught us one very specific, very neat little story about the discovery of the New World. But today, we're going to investigate the truth behind the Columbus myth and piece together what actually happened when he supposedly found America. You know the rhyme, we've all heard it. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue and discovered America, right? Well, today, we're completely dismantling that narrative. Using actual historical facts, we are going to reveal a mystery that's far darker and honestly way more complex than a simple schoolyard poem. And here is the ultimate twist right out of the gate. Christopher Columbus never actually set foot in North America. Literally never. He didn't know where he was. He absolutely didn't find a quote-unquote new world, and millions of people had already been living there for thousands of years anyway. So, what's the real story here? Part 1. The real goal. Okay, so Columbus wasn't actually trying to discover a new continent at all. And despite that super common flat Earth myth, he definitely wasn't trying to prove the Earth was round either. Pretty much everyone already knew that. His goal was purely economic. He was desperately searching for a faster, more profitable trade route to Asia to get his hands on spices, silk, and gold. The real risk for him wasn't falling off the edge of the map. It was simply whether a ship could physically carry enough food and water to survive crossing an ocean of totally unknown size. Picture this. It's August 1492. Columbus sets sail with 3 ships and about 90 crew members. For over 2 agonizing months, they sail blindly into the terrifying, totally uncharted expanse of the Atlantic. I mean, just imagine the sheer anxiety of watching your food and water dwindle day by day with absolutely no end in sight. That is, until October 12th, when land was finally spotted. Part 2, mistaken identity. So where exactly were they? Well, spoiler alert, it wasn't the United States. Columbus actually dropped anchor on a small island in the Bahamas. The local people who were already living there called it Guanahani. And here is where the massive geographical mix-up happens. Columbus firmly believed, without a doubt, that he had reached the outer islands of Asia. This monumental error is exactly why we still call the Caribbean islands the West Indies today. And tragically, it's exactly why Native Americans were erroneously called Indians for centuries. He was literally on the wrong continent entirely. Now, over his entire career, Columbus made 4 total voyages across the Atlantic, exploring parts of the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. But he absolutely never, not even once, set foot on the North American mainland. Part 3, the real story of the Taino. So, when Columbus arrived, these islands were definitely not empty. They were home to the Taino. This was a highly advanced civilization with complex farming systems, really established villages, and extensive trade networks. And we actually know exactly what those first encounters were like, straight from Columbus's own journal. He wrote, "They are welcoming and generous, offering food and gifts." But what happens next is the dark reality that textbooks usually skip over. Columbus and his men almost immediately began the enslavement of the peaceful Taino people. They forced them into brutal labor, making them mine for gold. And when you compound that with the rapid spread of European diseases, which the Taino had absolutely zero immunity to, their entire population was almost completely wiped out in just a few decades. It was the rapid, absolutely devastating destruction of a whole civilization. Part 4, why the story changed. So you might be wondering, if all of this tragic history and crazy geographical confusion is just documented fact, why on earth do we grow up believing Columbus simply discovered America? Well, for a long time, the messy, really complicated truth was heavily sanitized. It was packaged into this neat little hero story of bravery and adventure, because, frankly, it fit perfectly into a standard school lesson. The much fuller, way darker picture only really emerged into public view when historians finally started closely studying Columbus's actual letters and journals. And today, we're actually seeing the results of that historical shift reflected in modern society. Instead of solely celebrating Columbus Day as this flawless hero story, many historians, institutions, and even entire US states are shifting toward Indigenous Peoples Day. They're making a conscious choice to formally recognize and honor the native peoples who were already living here long before 1492. So I want to leave you with this thought. Who really discovered America? Columbus definitely didn't discover it, and he never even fully realized what continent he had stumbled upon. But his voyages did permanently open the door between Europe and the Americas, and that changed the world forever. for better and for far, far worse. History isn't always a simple schoolyard rhyme. The real version is infinitely more complicated and honestly, infinitely more important to know. And that wraps up today's Explainer. Next time, we are covering Jamestown, America's first English colony. We're going to unpack the incredibly complex, fascinating story of what happened when Europeans actually did set up camp in North America. Let me know down in the comments if you want part 2, and we'll dive right in.